All right, welcome to another episode of the EsportsNext official podcast. My name is Adam Joshua, and I'll be your host today. Today we have James O'Hagan. James, tell us about yourself.
Adam, thank you for having me on. And don't worry, I saw the little hesitation when you gave your own name, and I do the same thing on my own podcast.
I don't know why.
I don't know. Yeah, it's like, who am I and why am I here? My name is James O'Hagan, currently the CEO, founder of the Academy of Esports, which is a consulting service now in scholastic gaming and esports. But I also host my own podcast, which is the Academy of Esports.
Academy of Esports. Okay, what do you talk about on that podcast?
It is the intersection of education and scholastic gaming and esports. It started in 2018, and frankly, as I have kind of grown through the conversations, the podcast is now well over 5 years. A lot of great conversations, but you can really start to see the evolution of how gaming and esports in schools has changed in just the last few years, from where we were just trying to get programs started, which in some school districts is really a fight, to really getting to where now we're looking at what more can we do with this. We have this amazingly engaging content, and how can we now make this something that is much more than just playing video games?
Fantastic. Yeah, I am so up for integrating the esports world into curriculum. What do you think the next big thing is within esports and scholastics?
You know, it's interesting that I think a lot of people, there's a couple, it's a pretty loaded question, but there's a couple of things I think that are worth keeping an eye on here. Number one, I think a lot of programs now are trying to say, do we really need a competitive program? Or can we get a lot of the same benefits from a casual gaming program? As we looked at colleges, universities, some have done the right thing by saying, hey, we're going to have a competitive team, but we also want to make sure that we're maintaining the integrity of our casual gaming clubs, because for a lot of students, there is a lot of motivation around gaming, and they don't want to take away from those students who say, like, yes, I love playing games, but I don't want it to have to be, a specific game title every day. I don't want to have to focus on one. I like to just play. And that's really where it's kind of leading, is into looking at how can we create these digital walled gardens of play for students. But the other thing, too, that I think schools are getting wise to, and I think now we're getting to a tipping point within the larger school systems of the United States, is the digital privacy of students. For example, New York City has probably one of the largest competitive games programs. They call it the Battle of the Boroughs, which is a competitive build competition between schools using Minecraft EDU. But for right now, New York City will only use Minecraft EDU because they're very uncomfortable with the third-party sign-ons through some of the bigger companies like the Epics and the League of Riots and all that. LA Unified now is getting involved in scholastic gaming and esports, where they're ready to invest $93 million into it. Now, granted, it's a district of 600,000 students, so $93 million sounds like a lot, but you're talking about a school district that's the second largest in the United States. And they are also in a great position to start leading not just the conversation about where student data is hosted and stored through these games, but also now we need to look at the geopolitical ramifications of some of the gaming companies. Given that, for example, Tencent has a stake in many of these companies. The Saudi PIF now has a stake in a lot of these companies. Data privacy now is going to become a bigger concern, because these companies now have a direct link into a lot of our students. They are a very vulnerable population, and we as educators, those of us involved in the education space, need to make sure that our students are not being exploited for, whether it's sports washing, EDU washing. We need to make sure that those who are coming into this space are coming in with the best of intentions, and that they want to make their students, just have it be, like I said, a walled garden of digital play, and make it safe.
That's a lot to take in. I love it, but you are really on the forefront and doing a lot for the space. What would you like to do for the space if you had all the resources you needed and do anything?
I would, in general, and it doesn't have to be education related, I assume, right? I would like to see gaming companies start to leverage their IP for the greater good. And what I mean by that is, for example, with the Esports World Cup happening right now in Riyadh, the Saudi government is they want to see their GDP grow by 1% in the gaming and esports industry, which equates to about $21 billion. What I would like to see is gaming companies get wise to realize that they have something that the Saudis want and need, which they can start to leverage some of their IP for asks for human rights changes potentially in the country. Right now, there's a young woman named Manahil Al-Otabi. She is being held in a prison less than 20 miles from where the Esports World Cup is currently being held. I would like to see some of these companies, for example, like Riot, say, hey, you want to use League of Legends? You can do that. We would like to invite you into the gaming space. As a concession, we would like for you to please release her and her family so that they can have safe passage to the UK.
Of course.
If Manahil could get released, we are using games for, like I said, games for more than just play. We are using them for the greater good.
Yeah, for actual peace and
Yes.
prosperity. I like what you said before about the casual gaming space rather than the competitive gaming space. I personally think that the casual gaming space, with kids these days, they could get, insecure if they're not as good because they don't put, 14 hours a day into focusing on a game. What are the things you think would be beneficial about a casual gaming space?
Look, as I was just telling one of my colleagues this morning, I've been involved in scholastic gaming for over 10 years. I'm a horrible gamer.
That's okay.
Do not ask me to coach. Do not ask me to play on your team. You will kick me off your team. But I would like to see, first of all, I think the term esports is getting too overused. Again, it's organized competitive play. When we talk about casual gaming and casual play experiences, we need to open up the playbook for titles such as, I love games like City Builders. And I would like something where I could, build with my friends and in a space where, again, we can create something together and help us organize that. And again, with kids, we know, looking at things like the Anti-Defamation League reports out there, that the state of play is very toxic. I mean, we don't just call it gaming culture, we call it toxic gaming culture.
Yes.
First and foremost. So again, finding those ways where we can give more kids access to safe places to play so that they don't have to have negative experiences. They don't have to have this Lord of the Flies experience. And I'll tell you, if we are not going to be in those spaces with kids, being positive adult interaction, providing them spaces for play, the potential result, and we see it play out now in social media where a lot of these kids were raised by themselves in these spaces, the potential fallout is much more dire as we look at, studies being done in these spaces around, chat rooms of radicalization taking place. And I know I'm speaking, and people really say, boy, James just doesn't have a lot of positive things to say. I think we always have a lot of positive things to say, but we also need to be aware of some of the challenges that are in the space right now. And I don't think we talk about those nearly enough because there is such a lot of good. It isn't to bring people down, it's to make people aware, and it's to make people aware so that we can do something about it to make it a better space.
I would have to agree with you on that. Yeah, there are things that, it's in its infancy. So there are things that we have to do to make it better, like you would with anything. So it is good to focus on those things because then it opens it up to more people. If they're hesitant because, they're bullied online because they're not as good as a game, like being able to dedicate all that time to be super good at a game is not a luxury that everyone has, and they shouldn't be, persecuted for it by their peers.
My own children make fun of me for how bad I am. We used to play Overwatch together, and I say used to because eventually it got to the point where it was like, Dad, can you drop out because you're making us lose? Or when I would play Fortnite with my son, and we would even use like the creative mode, just like, so we could play together and have nobody else. And he would just hunt me. And he's like, I see you. And I'm like, how do you see me? Like, I don't see you. How do you see me? Are you lying to me? He's like, no, watch this. And he would just like clip me. And it's like, okay, he does see me. I'm a terrible gamer, but realize that I'm going to be 49 years old in a few weeks. And I'm not going to get any younger. And as I get older, I'm going to want to continue to play. The fastest growing group of gamers in the United States right now is senior citizens. And
really?
Oh, yeah. And I
love that.
Well, and as I look around here at the trade association meeting and I bring that up to people, it's a lot of wide eyes going, really? And it's like, well, think about it. There's a couple of things I think that are important with that. Number one, Seniors have a lot of time.
Yes.
Hopefully retired. They have hopefully a good amount of disposable income to figure out what to do with it. And a lot of them want socialization. They want to have a place to socialize with others. A lot of times libraries in the United States, public libraries, are looking for ways to open their doors more for more people to come in. And I think it's important when we think about that now that the ramifications are not just that these people become a part of this, but they also vote. Like, these are people where we should be courting them and giving them every chance to play, because play is important at all ages. In fact, the studies on play show that the brain, we use the term neuroplasticity, how we change our
Yes.
brains. Play is changes our brains in ways that is unlike anything else. And yes, Sudoku and crossword puzzles, those are nice. But after a while, your brain stops changing because it gets used to it. We need to find different ways to challenge the brain so that we continue with that neuroplasticity. So that, again, evidence shows that that can help offset issues with dementia and Alzheimer's. We don't have obviously a pill for that or a treatment for that. And I've seen firsthand the horrors of what dementia can do. So anything that we can do to stave that off, I am all for.
I love that. I'm so excited that that is a real stat coming in now. That's my retirement plan, personally.
I'll tell you, if people who are listening to this, the AARP has done a tremendous amount of studies now, like actual peer-reviewed studies. Those are very well worth reading. They have put a lot of money into this, and realize the AARP is the largest subscribed magazine still in the United States. I know that sounds like kind of like an old thing, but look,
makes sense.
They're voters.
Yeah.
If we're going to really start to get social acceptance in the gaming space for gaming and for gamers, we have to go where the people are not, and that's where a lot of them, or they don't even define themselves as gamers. They define themselves by just, well, I play Candy Crush, but that doesn't mean I'm a gamer. No, you're pretty much a gamer. In fact, there was a woman who a couple of years ago won a national Candy Crush competition, didn't even know she was in it. I mean, she was just playing her Candy Crush game, didn't realize that she was the top prize winner in the United States. Like, it just kind of went past her. So yeah, it is one of the more exciting things to realize that, like I said, I still spend money on games. I have my Steam library looks like my book library now. There's a lot of games there I want to have time to play. I just haven't had the time to play it yet.
Oh, yeah. Trust me. I keep building my Steam library. You know, a new game comes out, and I think I'm going to put tons of time in it. But I ended up just accumulating lots and lots of games, which is not the worst thing. No. I enjoy it.
Like I said, people used to buy books all the time. It's just we can't show them off in really cool ways. So I guess if I could find a cool way to show off my Steam library, I would.
Yeah, I guess you can. Like, you have your Steam profile, right?
Yeah, you got to go look at the profile. Like, I want somebody to walk in my house and go, oh, you've got this game and this.
It's like a bookshelf.
Exactly.
Yeah, like, this is how many books I read. This is how many games I play.
Yes.
Well, yeah, we don't have that physical. The games are being, like, phased out. I think after a while they'll be phased back in because they'll be cool. I personally like still having physical games because they don't take up, space on my device, because that's kind of the thing with Steam is I am constantly downloading and re-downloading and reinstalling games. So I don't know. Maybe they'll make another rip around the sun.
Well, I know that there has been some concerns about physical media, specifically around movies and music, where there's kind of a push now in the movie industry to encourage people to buy, again, physical copies of movies while providing a digital copy as well, too. I really feel that that's going to be something, maybe that's going to come up with games here. I mean, look, one of the most lucrative parts of the music industry now is vinyl, where for the longest time we were like, why would we need vinyl? Well, it's something you can show off. It's kind of cool looking, and that's also making a comeback. So
totally,
maybe we'll have those game boxes again, like we used to have. I still have, believe it or not, I still have a notepad that came in the box of my release day copy of StarCraft 2. I haven't used all the notes on it, but I kind of hold on to that and just say I'm going to just keep this forever.
Yeah, why not? It's cool stuff, because eventually it will, come back into phase. I'm waiting for CDs to come back. I think they're slowly making a comeback, but who has a CD player anymore? I don't have a laptop with a CD player.
I have one on my PC. I've got a Mac that obviously doesn't. And my car, thankfully, still does.
Nice.
And like I said, there was a couple of albums Robert Plant and Jimmy Page did an album for MTV Unplugged a few years ago that I can't find in Spotify or Apple Music. I have a copy of that because, like, again, that's just something I remembered and need. So, yeah, I hope that happens as well.
Yeah, one thing I do hang on to is concert DVDs. I love watching those. Occasionally they're on YouTube. Maybe they're okay quality or they're only like a few of the songs. But it's nice to have the original, DVD or Blu-ray of a concert.
I just bought one of the Talking Heads.
Nice. The remaster
Yes, the Blu-ray remaster.
of Stop Making Sense,
Yes,
correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I heard that they re-released it in theaters as well.
Unfortunately, I wasn't as cool to get to the theater.
Yeah, I would have seen it.
But that is that is the last DVD that I did buy recently. So
Yeah, well, maybe they're making a comeback.
yeah.
That's awesome. What are you excited about for the future of esports?
Like I said, if we stop here and say, yeah, we just want a bunch of competition, that's fine. I don't think that's going to grow the industry again. I think this can be a movement for change. I'm not going to say that playing some Rocket League is going to change 2,000 years of a culture. But again, we can start to leverage the power of games to hopefully start to, if we can get Manahil released, just getting one person released from prison for being held on a terrorism charge because she snapped a picture of herself wearing yoga pants and having her hair pulled up. I'd call that that's my
Revolution.
ultimate win.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know what to do after that, other than find the next political prisoner who we can leverage these IPs as well too. So
Yeah, that shows how powerful it truly could be and what change it could actually make. So, yeah, I hope that all happens. And thank you so much for being on the pod today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
thank you.
And we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Adam. Thank you.